No, but if he'd stuck to my arse, I could have kept you. Kept his foot on his speed. I could have kept it closed. Because I could pull away if they got too close.
Anyway, you're looking dashing in your yellow vest.
I was desperate to get here, man. I was in serious trouble for the last mile.
There's one there.
It's not open.
Oh
no, now, but they wouldn't let us go to the ones outside.
Oh, well, they don't.
So Phil, here they're talking about the vans coming in and the way the convoy did or didn't work. What happened?
Yeah, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle with the convoy. It all started back, because I live in Stoke. I said let's all meet at Stafford Services, south of Stoke.
Right.
Except for Chris saw Staffordshire Services at Keele and went to Keele. So anyway, we all met at Stafford, then we went down. We all followed Pete, which was interesting.
Hang on, you're in vans, he's in a Porsche.
He's in his Porsche four-wheel drive, and then we got stuck in traffic at the just before the M5 junction. So rather than staying in convoy, being in a kerfuffle, I just kept going, got there 20 minutes for everybody else.
Right.
Then I think Tugboat John got a little left behind.
Starbucks is right down the other end. Oh, you got to get all the tables off, yeah? Who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
I thought you were in charge, Pete. Yeah, I'm not in charge, mate. Not this bit. Who's organising the vans?
El Capitano and General.
Who?
We need to speak with Mike before we start.
Yeah, I was going to say.
John's got the first van we need.
I've got the table.
No, the plan isn't the problem.
The other thing is
37 will be about 12.
Are the troops all gathered now, Peter?
No, we're still short.
We might as well get your van in the middle.
We've still got...
Get the tables going.
I don't know where they are.
Which is in the middle.
Yeah, that's weird. Yes, it's way down there. I mean, it's like... No wonder they got walkie-talkies. They wouldn't be shouting that down there, would they? To you, Fred. To you, George.
It's amazing to think that the layouts could have filled the middle of this space, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. While we've been building it, I've no concept of how big 208 feet is. I mean, obviously you see the boards, you're working around the workshop with it, but it's because you've not got the original ones up, and because this is 50 more scenic feet than we've ever done before anyway, it was like building two layouts anyway. So the workshop was packed. So we're constantly moving around. But that's without putting the old layouts up. So it was absolutely not normally where we can get the workshop plus a little bit, that's one layout. This was like this layout filled the workshop completely and without putting any of the old boards up. We had to clear the workshop out to put the two together.
All the vans were loaded they weren't in an order, but they were categorised. So John's van had got Making Tracks 4, which is all the new boards we've done,
right,
as well as all the tables and all the legs. So John's van was unloaded in the middle-ish with the legs, and then later on it'll be moved to the other end to effectively empty the Making Tracks 4 bits.
Right.
Now the problem with the vans is you only get a 2-hour time slot once they're in.
What, in the hall?
On the hall.
Right.
So people were kind of rushing a little bit to make sure the vans were all empty in the 2 hours,
right,
before we were kind of ready to actually start unloading.
Are they really going to force you out after 2 hours?
Yes.
Okay. Does that mean you just have to queue and come back in again?
No, that was the time slot done and dusted.
Okay.
Again, the NEC, you'd think, is this big organisation that's got it all sorted. It's such a pain to work with.
Right.
Nothing is signposted. You go from one car park to the next car park, you can't get in, you can't get out. Then you see somebody, oh, there's nothing to do with me, try that over there, then he sends you back.
Yeah, I saw in one of the comments on the video, people saying, why are we all in high vis? Well, it's a construction site.
Yes, so Thursday, Friday, it's classed as a building zone, so everybody has to be in high vis. And you'll see NEC people walking around, and if nobody's in high vis, they get a little bit shirty.
Right.
Which is fine, you know, whatever.
Rules are rules.
Yeah, everything. For example, cars and vans when they come in have to have flashing hazards on, unless you're a tank, and that doesn't apply.
Because no one's going to argue.
Yeah. It applied to the 37 coming in, but the 2 tanks, whatever.
Which we'll see shortly or later on.
Yeah, they came in Friday morning at 7 o'clock-ish.
Right.
So again, I'm just trying to get everything sorted before we start, so everybody kind of knows what we're doing. We had a little bit of discussion about we're going to start at that end with me, Dave, and everybody was all there. Then they kind of forgot that a little bit later on and started at the south end, Watford end. But again, it's not a problem. And again, you can see the vans. That's Aaron's car, the red one, just turning around. He'd put his stuff in and gone out. And unloading the vans is a problem. It's effectively 3 hours each time you do it. So you have to do it at Pete's before we leave for 3 hours. Here for 3 on Thursday. Then again 3 Sunday evening. Another 3 Monday morning. It's a lot of work just loading and unloading the vans.
And that's what, 10 people doing it? 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and I can't do any lifting, so I'm no help really. So again, this is now the south end, Watford end, which was the wrong end to start from. So a few minutes they go, no, it's not me, but I came over and we again started at the right end.
Well, we brought everything. No, you obviously not. It's probably another van. It's an upright for the inside.
Is that the king? I'm just going to stick the van here and get the layout
It's
of
got on it 1050.
because it's TFF.
1051.
So it's
As big as that. It says on it, table stamp. We've got to find that, otherwise.
carrying it that far. It's not in it, is it?
Alright,
I mean, I was trying to capture the scale and size of it, but it was difficult to get something you could see.
You can't get it all in.
Well, already here we're getting touchy because Dave ain't had his breakfast. So I'm sending him out for his breakfast. Go and have a cup of tea, Dave, for God's sake. Take him out, for God's sake. Yeah, so it's only when you stand here and you look down there and suddenly go, yes. So that's 208 feet, because we're standing pretty well at the end. You just look at all the legs. I mean, you just look at the logistics of it.
Nice little sea of legs.
Yeah. And it's like, I think the one lesson I've learned, Dave, is next time I say 208 feet, I'm going to walk it or measure it and go, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But not the great news, but the big news is this is the only time you can ever get to 208 feet.
Yeah.
So it's not that you can't build a bigger layout, but when you come in a hall like this, you've got your emergency exits and your fire exits, and you're right on. In fact, we've had a special dispensation to go to 208 feet. Because obviously what they're concerned is to clear the hall as quickly as possible. Well, if there's something straight down the middle of the hall, they've got to go to, yes, exactly. So probably we can go to 208 feet again, but we can't go more. But then you have another problem. If you want to go wider to add a bit more dynamics to it, you get the same problem the other way.
Yes. So the plan then is to get the track up and working today, yes, so we can do the...
Oh, it's got to be. Yeah, it has to be. You know, I think they've got to start scrutineering at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Well, it's 11 o'clock now.
And we'll be working right through the night by the sounds of it.
A lot of work, yeah.
Where's Dave gone?
So some of the lads starting unloading baseboards at this end, not realising that the plan...
Right, so that's not quite correct. I wanted all the boards kind of laid out in roughly the right place. So those boards were making tracks 4 boards to go to the south end. There you can see Milton Keynes lying down, which went more or less in the middle.
On the right hand side of the picture.
The 4 foot wide boards on the right. Then you've got some fiddle yard boards. Then you've got the Milton Keynes buildings and the wooden crates.
Right.
So the people did know what was happening. It's just, again, the 2-hour window for the vans mean they need to be unloaded sooner rather than later.
Right.
Instead of kind of carrying everything from one end to the other, unload them in roughly the right place.
But we're better having a pile of stuff on the floor than a van full of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
They do pack quite compact, don't they?
How's it going?
Now we've got the hang of that.
Yeah, it goes 5 vans. There's quite a lot of space left over. The issue is they're 8 foot long baseboards, and the vans are somewhere about 12 foot long.
On another planet, maybe.
So you can only ever get one stack in.
Right.
So
So you've got them in the back there, you can see, and then you're left with like a 4 foot space at the back. Then we fill.
Miscellaneous.
Alright boys, here we go.
too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
You can tell if they're a chief, they've got a high-vis jacket.
We've all got high-vis jackets.
Oh, there you go.
That doesn't narrow us down.
Hi Pete, how's it going?
Well, I've got another couple of hours work here, yeah.
What's something to do while the boys are having fun?
Well, I can't do it till they put it up. This is the one thing I haven't done.
Right.
I've got to remake the trees where the mice have eaten them, and I've got to put the fencing up on the viaduct, and that's all the scenic stuff we can do.
You're a serial offender with modelling, aren't you? You just can't stop.
Well, to be honest, Dave, to be brutally honestly with you, I would rather not be doing this today.
Yes.
Because there's so much to do to help the boys.
Right.
But Paul and I have still got quite a bit of scenery to patch up and do. And I really wouldn't choose to do that today if I had a chance.
Right.
But, hey.
Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards.
They haven't actually got enough.
No, we'll get this out.
I need to find somebody who's doing nothing. Which is a problem, because everybody's doing something at the minute.
Big him back.
No, we need him, mate. I can't go on that one.
Right, on.
That's one foot.
What's the height?
Not doing anything. There's a Bosch box. Right. Over there somewhere. No.
What housing estate? This one. Yeah. You want this one on the floor as well? See if we're ready. It's not on top of that.
Right, have you got that in, Pete?
I've got it.
Right, if you reverse, go up between the van and the board. Then go that way. Right, where's he going?
So, once the first tables go up, we roughly position them in more or less the right place, and then Andy and Dave levelled them all. You can see Andy working up and down, but it goes up together quite quickly then.
Right.
You know, you send the fiddle yard on the backside, scenics on the front. We put the U baseboard in for rugby end, and then once that's in a second, he says, hopefully, there you go, you can see the board going in now.
This was recorded over 2 hours.
Yeah. You can see the board at the left-hand side, which is a rugby end.
Yes.
The curved board. Put the two sides in first, and then space all the tables. Once that's in, then effectively, look how quick it goes in now. Because you're adding 8 feet every time you put a new baseboard in.
Right.
It doesn't take that long to get the basic structure in. It's only 3 bolts per baseboard, one on the back seam, 2 for the actual baseboard itself.
Except for Milton Keynes, are all the tables the same?
No, they're all the same style.
Right.
The original tables are 8 foot long.
Right.
Except for when Dave went to make the next batch of tables, he couldn't get a 16 feet length of wood. Okay. Because he obviously ripped them in half.
Right.
It was like 15 feet something or other.
Right.
So he converted them into 7 foot tables.
Got it.
All the styles are the same, and you can change them about. And then obviously Milton Keynes is 4 foot wide rather than 2 foot, so they get wider legs, support frames.
Yeah, put the little action camera on the pole and go for a little walk around here. See what we've got so far. The hall looks so different when it's empty, doesn't it?
Yeah, and but it's well lit.
Yes.
You know, it was much better lit than Milton Keynes.
I noticed the natural light was great. The decision not to put the lights on the fiddle yard, I think.
Well, that was just to save time, and it. But the light, the colour render index of the lights seemed good as well. Right. You know, everything popped nicely. I just want to say thanks to Gus and Lawrence. Right. They're from the Model Railway Club. Yes. They were great on Friday and Thursday, just messing about but helping, you know, is what you want.
I did a short with Gus on the Friday.
Yeah.
He was sending wagons down the fiddle yard, disappearing into the sunset.
Yeah.
They were running really well.
That was a Cure Scale Mark II, I think, and that just glided. They are lovely coaches, they are. The other problem we had, not power, but was the power being turned on and off. Right. It didn't come on till quite late Thursday.
You can see my time-lapse camera there in the distance, and I was plugging it in, and I'd come back and it would be unplugged. Yeah. Everywhere I went. Yeah. So, yeah.
But
try as you might, you can't get everything done. So
no.
We're having a conference here, are we?
Yeah, I went to the toilets were this end, and I went to the toilet, and while I was there, we had a little bit of a discussion.
We're just admiring our handiwork, Dave. Yeah. Take us on to he's up with it.
That looks great. Who's going to do the middle? Has that not been delegated yet?
Well, they're just looking for the board that goes in the middle, yeah.
Oh, did you get the one from upstairs in the barn?
That's where it is. Oh.
Just asking. I was asked to remind you when you got here.
Yes, good time to do it.
The missing board comes up to be late there.
Yes.
So everybody thought we were all sorted, and we weren't. And that was a bit of another kerfuffle.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah. I think this comes on a bit later, but we can do it now anyway.
Okay.
The
missing baseboard.
Yes. So it's 208 feet long, which comprises of 26 8-foot baseboards. Right. 26 times 8 is 208. We had 5 new boards from Watford, well, Bushy. We had one that's a rugby end, which is unique to rugby because it's got the slope that comes back down level. Right. So that's 6. Then we have, what is it? We have 6 fiddle yards from effectively making tracks 1 that we always use. Right. Okay. Which leaves 14 effectively new fiddle yard boards that need to be made. Okay. We already had some for Gets last year, but to make the build time faster while Dave was making new boards, Pete used 3 fiddle yard boards from Milton Keynes for the scenery at Watford. So Dave had to effectively make some new boards to replace those as well as the new boards. So anyway, that meant 14 new fiddle yard boards. They were all labelled 1 through 14,
Right.
except for number 1 had been labelled as a Making Tracks 1 board.
Okay.
So that should just be board 0 as like the starting point, but it was labelled as board 1.
Right.
So then people counted 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 14, jobbed. That only adds up to 25 baseboards. 1 was completely missing. Not only missing, it had never been made.
So it wasn't the one that was left upstairs then in
No,
its barn?
there was. When we found this problem, I got Pete to ring Bob, who's Pete's farmer,
Right.
to go into the barn to take pictures of everything to make sure.
It wasn't there?
Yeah, and it wasn't. All that was left were the Milton Keynes boards that are just unique for Milton Keynes. Now, I purposely packed a spare board in the van just because, why not? It's 8 foot, takes no space.
Yeah.
That was part of the Milton Keynes Fiddle Yard board to turn us back into Milton Keynes.
Right.
Because I always wanted to keep Milton Keynes as a layout that you can always take out. Rather than butcher bits and pieces, there's always enough to do Milton Keynes. Except for now there isn't. So that board was taken, and then we butchered it in place. Well, I say we, Dave and co butchered it in place. And then the only track we got was Hornby track, not Pico track, which had been fine for the middle of a fiddle yard, but where we put it was at the end of the fiddle yard, so it needed to be Pico track. It's now 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening when we discovered this. Now Tony's Trains was coming to the show and he was still packing up late evening, so he sent Pete off to go get some track, because we always tried to aim to do the measurement for the Guinness Thursday evening.
Yes.
While Pete was then off in the van, in his Porsche, getting the bits, the boards that were numbered 1 through 14 went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8.
Okay.
So all you'll see later, all the boards were laid out in 1 through 14, and nothing fit. So between the missing baseboard and the numbers being the wrong way round, halfway along, we lost 6 hours Thursday evening.
Right.
And you'll see later on, I was just completely worn out. Everybody was worn out. And then, so we changed the plan because the layout just wasn't working, because we were so messing about with the fiddle yard, we never had a chance to plug it in. We had a talk with Mike and Chris to say, it's not happening tonight, we'll have to do it tomorrow night.
Right.
Right now it's hang on, your back's miles out, mate. Aren't you? Get that table fucking tighten your front one up.
Mike's great. I can't. I mean, the show was great. Ignoring our bit, the show was great. Mike did a great job, and it's what the hobby needed after Worley and Hatton's earlier in the year. It just needed a good show where everybody was positive, everybody was there, manufacturers were all there. So it's the first time Mike's worked with the NEC. So there's a couple of things you need to change going forward, like the power.
Right, there. Is that it? Are we all happy?
Well, we ain't happy, but it'll do.
That's it.
Where's Aaron?
He's over there by that hole.
Aaron? The dropper just popped off here.
Here comes the 37, so everything has to stop to watch that come in, obviously.
Including me, so I've locked off the camera and I'm enjoying the view.
So that came from Crew,
Yeah.
came to us to the NEC, and it's going to, I want to say Ruddington,
Right.
I think, to be carried on, because there was no engine in it. It'd only been painted in the last month, so it looked great,
Yeah.
but the engine has already been taken out.
That driver of the wagon there, he was on his game, wasn't he? He seemed to know his onions because he was out with the tape measure and all sorts.
Oh yeah, they're great at that. I mean, that's their day and day bread and butter, so they're really good at it. All the wheels are independently controlled on the back,
Yeah.
so you can slew it sideways. And then the lorry was actually parked up to the right of the shot all weekend,
Yeah.
so you can actually see the lorry as well as the trailer and the 37. When it left, it got caught in the the wire, not the wiring, the trough that the wiring sits in.
Yes.
They got caught in that a little bit, but they soon sorted it.
Okay.
So at this point, with this time lapse, we'd already sorted the fiddle yard out.
Right.
Because all the fiddle yard boards are up. You can just see the bridge to your far left, the blue.
The arches.
Yeah, the arch. That's where we added the new, well, not the new baseboard, the bodge baseboard in.
I think we'll see that in a short while.
Yeah, probably when Pete blamed somebody else for it.
Yeah, because I wanted to keep my distance from Pete because he was not amused and he was not in a good mind to talk.
See, when they were all numbered, I was at Statfold Barn
Right.
for that weekend, whenever it was, only a couple of weeks ago. And Kevin was also there on Sunday. To me and Kevin, I'm washing my hands, it wasn't my fault.
Okay.
So now we go on to Dan testing the measurement train. They started out with the yellow 37s.
Yes.
Not 37s, 43s even. Except for they're only powered on one end, and with the weight and so on and so forth. Thought he hadn't got enough traction to actually start moving. So that's when he changed to the double-headed 90s later on. Because I think a yellow train would have been a bit more prototypical of a measurement train.
But practicality beats.
Yeah,
appearance.
and the measurement train worked great. It just took a lot longer than I expected.
Yes.
I budgeted about 3 hours in my weekend plan for it to work.
Yeah.
About 2 hours to actually measure the track and an hour faffing about with software. It took somewhere between 8 and 9 hours.
We found issues where it just wouldn't go round the.
Well, yeah, it's out of gauge. I spent 6 hours on the fiddle yard fixing that, which meant I didn't get to all the track joints. And the plan was to do it Thursday evening, which meant we could then run trains Friday and get it sorted. But again, I was completely done by whatever time we packed in Thursday.
I think a number of people had had enough by then. We were running on fumes, weren't we?
I was completely done.
Oh, very good.
There you go, you can see on the track joint, the droppers, how there's like a green tinge.
Yes.
That's why you don't use plumber's flux. So it's been my pet peeve from day one.
Right.
So when I started making tracks one, originally, they'd already laid all the track on the fiddle yard.
Right.
And I said, Pete, don't use plumber's. Why? And that is why, because it corrodes. Unless you wash it off, it will corrode. Which is when I got him onto the stuff in the syringe. It's expensive, but it's just so good. You don't have to wash it off. It doesn't stink. It's not corrosive to your fingers.
I pay a fortune for my solders.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm using a paste, but I have a no clean paste, so the flux doesn't corrode afterwards and it's clean.
So that stuff I use, it's American. Peter in a earlier video said it's from China, but it's not, it's American.
Right. Mine's American.
Yeah, it's about 15 quid a tube for like 10 cc's or whatever, but it's great. You don't have to wash it off. It doesn't smell, which kind of is irrelevant unless you're soldering in. But if you're soldering in your house, which I often do because whatever, it's not an awful smell in the house.
500 gram tub cost me £87.
Yeah, but then you also have to do unleaded solder and all that nonsense. We should really, but whatever. But again, you can see how it's gone green, which is corrosive. So eventually that joint will fail.
Okay, so that's got to be
eventually
fixed at some point.
That's a to-do list that's never going to get done.
Because by the end of next year, 2025, we'll have all run away.
Yeah, something like that. You also just saw there a few seconds ago how the yellow HST just hasn't got enough traction to get going. Dan had to give it a little bit of a push.
Yes, the motor was in the rear unit, so it was pushing, I think, which we should. But
it doesn't make any difference to that. It's just there's so much drag, and because he needed the weight on it for the clicker, it's just too much.
To get a good read.
Yeah.
Because it's overcoming friction there, isn't it? When
It's the static friction that's the problem. The moving friction is less than the static.
See the Z21s all piled up. They look great.
Yeah, I like the Z21. They've just changed the app though, which they're monetizing the app now. If you haven't before, if you could use the Z21 app on other people's base stations,
Right.
where like 2 or 3 weeks ago they changed it, so it's now 18 quid to unlock the app to use with other people's. Still free if you've got a Z21 base station, not free
If you haven't.
Yeah, so I use like a DigiKeys DR5000 as mine,
Right.
which means to use it on the Z21 now you have to pay.
Are there any new features then as well?
They've added a few, but nothing's, no, they just put a paywall behind it.
I mean, one of the issues we seem to have is setting up and programming locos. There's a master tablet that then will replicate out.
So if you use JMOI,
Yes.
all the information is stored centrally on the computer.
Yeah.
With the Z21, it's stored individually on each tablet or phone, which is fine when you've got 1 or 2 because you can just share them. When we've got like 18 tablets, I think, plus my phone, if you change one, then you've got to share them individually with all the others. So the plan was to do it before we got there, but then Chris was so busy doing other bits and pieces for the record that got waylaid till Benedict, and I can't remember the other lad's name who came with him, his friend. They were doing it Saturday morning, I think.
Because they look very busy in a do not disturb me kind of manner. It's funny how the issues that you have, you can't conceive.
Well, you can. It's just, again, we lost 6 hours with the...
Everything was a 6 hours of this, 6 hours there.
And I'm not sure if we get to this on this video or the next one, but because I ran out of time beforehand, because like we're still making signals and buildings the day before we left, I never had a chance to plug each baseboard in to test for shorts. So I told Pete before he put the copper clads and sleepers in to cut them underneath. Pete forgot to do that. So all the nails...
So you built in the short circuit?
All the nails were shorting the system out, so we needed to remove 50 nails, something stupid. All right, that's another 2 hours gone.
Yeah.
There's another 2 hours to find the problem because I'd already said they'd already been cut. So then it's when he pulled one of the pins out, it ripped some of the track up. So that had to be super glued back in, which is a bodge, but it worked. Then there was a load of droppers that were dry jointed on the, because it's difficult. Again, lack of time.
Yeah.
You should really solder the droppers in before you ballast, which makes it easier, and before the glue and all the rubbish gets in and paint. That didn't happen, so Peter had to solder them in after it being scenified.
The ballast.
Yeah. So there's a lot that hadn't been done properly.
But this is people tripping over people to get the job done.
Yeah, we're out of time. We need another 3 months.
How much extra time do you think we would have needed?
3 months.
3 months to get this right. So we were 3 months ahead of schedule, or 3 months behind schedule.
No, it's just there was no 3 months.
Okay.
It's just we just ran out of time.
I mean, at one point I remember asking you, rate your chances of this layout working, and I remember the stat you gave me as a percentage.
Like 20%.
20%.
Yeah.
That's not of the record being
No, that's just working.
operating the layout. So with 20% for the layout to operate, that put the record at about 0.
Yeah, and so my priority was to get the whole thing up.
Yeah.
I wanted to plug it in early in the day to test, but again, NEC low power.
Yeah.
If we do it again, we'll just buy a kilowatt hour battery bank and just run it off that.
Right.
But it was never been a problem before to have power, because even at Getz we got power whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
NEC has to go through other people, and I mean the power people are great. It's just they've got their process and it didn't arrive. So here you can see we just got enough up to get a bit running, so Chris could do his Chris and Dan could do the calibration runs. But it meant I couldn't actually test the layout until I got power all the way around, which I didn't have. And everything just snowballs backwards of the most important thing is to get it running, except for getting it running is the last thing you can do. And with fixing all the fiddle yard, I just ran out of time. And that's ignoring the track issues on the Blissworth, where there's a 1/4 inch gap between a baseboard joint and the rails. That's another 2 hours gone because you have to unsolder it, pinch a millimetre from each fish plate join, and push it all up.
Right.
Pete tested it with a coach, went over it once, oh that's fine. It was not fine. Because of the fiddle yard issue, when that was being bolted together, it damaged the rugby end, the corner board, and it cracked the board.
Okay.
So that opened that corner out, which meant that instead of being all flush, there was like an 1/8 gap, 3 mil. which again, same thing, unsolder it all, pinch a bit of track from all the fish plates to spread the gap out.
I mean, what I'm showing here is a very small summary of the amount of times.
Yeah,
I was having nightmares.
The clicks are annoying, is all I'll say. They're all right in small doses, but the continuous click, 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 70,000 times, whatever it was.
Well, I was carrying that camera around the outside of the baseboard on all the tracks. What I've not said on any video is how I fell through a table and did my back in.
It wasn't a table, it was a ping pong table.
Table tennis table.
Yes, it's not a table. It's
I was in agony and high on painkillers for the entire duration, which means it's all a bit of a blur to me.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did get some of it on video, but I'm walking around with 4 or 5 kilos of lead hanging out in front of my belly.
Yeah, it's your own fault, no sympathy.
It's awful.
The other slight problem with the measurement train is it's out of gauge.
Top of the down orbital car is too wide to get through the gap, so the gauging's wrong for the gap.
All right.
So Dave's just taken a couple of mil off to allow the weight to fit through, so we get our accurate reading.
Oh, good, eh?
Bloody hell.
Affected by drops.
No, but the rest of my research is
Over your shoulder, Dave. So, what have you been doing, Dave? You've just been a quick emergency fun opportunity, is that right?
You know this new buzzword that's going about with everybody. Mental issues, mental health issues.
Can we just
By the time we get through here today, I could be a candidate.
Dave, what? Can you take a bit off all the way across?
Yeah, I'll take it all off. Leave it a minute.
How far do we get? Hang on, let's just see how far we get before we have to take the whole lot. Yeah. So we're there.
Well, from where you are, then all the way across.
If you just lock 2 inches off, it won't be an issue.
No.
Thank you, Dave. That's all we need.
Chaps, so we've just done a test run, I believe,
Yes.
of the calibration. Tell me about it.
Yep, so we've done 3 calibration runs at 5 metres and have gone really well. Very pleased about it.
Right.
Dan's done the analysis and they've come out right spot on where we were expecting it to, even with quite a lot of ambient background noise going on. So it's been really successful, 3 calibration runs. Our next job is to do longer calibrations and we're just waiting for the track to get put together so we can do that.
So, Dan, you're looking for whale noises or dolphins with clicks, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, so it measures clicks each time the wheel goes around, and so every time the wheel goes around, count the click, and then the circumference of the wheel multiplied by the clicks is the length of the track. And then if we can distinguish them all the way along the layout, we will get a number which is hopefully, the full length.
The length of the
ideally.
So we're not just doing clicks, we are recording it, yes?
Yeah, recording it with a microphone and videoing it as well, so that we can ensure that when we start and end we're in agreement. And then the microphone, we pass it through a MATLAB tool, so a signal analysis toolbox, and a bit of coding that I've written, and then we get a nice answer for how long the layout
So
is.
it just gives you spews out a number of clicks multiplied by 29.7 or something, is it? 39.7.
39 mil.
Wrong gauge, sorry, I was doing N. I lied. Well, that's brilliant. So we're feeling buoyant now. Now, there's a bit of an issue actually getting the train around the track.
We have a couple of issues of getting a train around the track. One of our issues is we've got a board that needs to be constructed to fill a bit of a gap. And
Hang on, whoa. A board needs to be, like mind the gap?
Like mind the gap. So they're all working on that at the moment.
Okay.
Whilst we troubleshoot everything else.
And we're just troubleshooting some narrowness in the track where our measurement tool doesn't go through, so we're just shaving a bit off, so it's in track, engage. That's
right.
the word I was looking for, engage.
So even with a missing baseboard and track, we can still test the rest of it ready to go.
Exactly, yeah. So the big thing now is to do a lot of calibrations over different lengths, just so that we are really comfortable that it's accurately doing the measurements.
Right, brilliant. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
You'll need it.
We will. Correct. It's going to be a long night, I think.
Oh, you mean my sleep's been cancelled?
Your sleep has definitely been cancelled.
Thanks.
Okay.
bend out and then a straight line.
So somebody at the show asked me why the wires aren't cable tied in and nice and neat. And the main reason is the wiring goes in, then Pete starts drilling holes randomly.
Yes, I've seen that.
And or Aaron now is putting wire drills in. And I've found if it's a bit slack, they miss more. When it's tight,
Yeah.
they drill holes into stuff. Now obviously you've got a problem with it being slack, people catch it. But I've found that to be a slightly more reliable having it dangling and drills going through than being tight and drills going straight through.
It's got a chance of moving out of the way.
Yeah. The only problem you get then is it can get wrapped around the drill, but I've never had that.
Right.
But I have had Pete drilling holes through wires.
Now, just over these arches, if we go there, we're going to see this baseboard in question. You can see the track and it literally goes to nowhere.
So this board that's in now is for the south side of Milton Keynes on the Fiddle yard. So you can see where the track should go effectively.
It's a shortcut.
Yeah.
So that's luckily you packed one.
It wasn't lock. It was, we have space in a van, let's put it in. It doesn't cost anything to take it, why not? What was more lucky is the fact that the track kind of already lined it up on the Fiddle yard side straight away. So we only had to, it was Pete's idea, because I was going to stick it in the middle. Pete said stick it this end because the track's already in. So we just had to take the bullhead track out and replace it with code 75.
How different is the new scenery going to look when it's in Chester?
Well, we need to talk properly, but effectively we're having none of Bushy. It's going to be Watford, 7 boards up. What I would like to do is this corner board that Aaron's holding now, that'll need to be a new one.
Right.
Because that's then got to go into the Fiddle yard. But there should be a Jaguar dealership where the Aaron's hand is.
Right.
So I'd like to put that in somewhere if we can. But yeah, Bushy, which is this side, isn't going, but Watford is where Lawrence and Andy are.
Oh, it does look great.
Oh, it looked great. I just wish it ran as good as it looked.
Well, it will.
Ish.
Together. And that new housing project?
Yeah, the houses, again, lack of time.
That came together then.
The gardens need finishing, they need weathering, gutters need to go in, blah, blah, blah.
It is a bit shiny, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a brand new build, so whatever.
It'll be nice when it's finished.
Yeah, and I think we just get that in when it goes to Chester as well.
Yeah.
I think there's like an extra board up and then that goes in. But Milton Keynes still looks the best. It just looks...
It's awesome. It's complicated.
And simple at the same time. And just looked great. But it took a hammering at Blakemere and Chester and Getz and here. One of the boards got damaged when two boards got damaged. One Fiddle yard got dropped and another board got dropped onto Milton Keynes and it damaged some of the catenary.
Aaron will be happy.
Well, I've just got to laser cut a new one and...
Right.
Because it's the one that actually goes through the canopies.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's not... It's about the worst one that could have got damaged. But we'll sort it. And it's always been with the layout, we want people to play with it.
Yeah.
If it gets broken, we'll fix it. We don't touch, plastic barriers up and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
the problem has been...
This is now where Pete blames somebody else.
Everybody's concentrated on the front. Well, I've concentrated on the front. And everybody's gone on about the back. Because it's just a number of baseboards.
Right.
They didn't count them.
Yeah.
So when we bought the 26 baseboards, but one of them didn't have the right track on it.
And in hindsight, it's easy to do because it's just one of a number, isn't it?
But Dave, we should have been more diligent than what they were. Just one less cup of tea and one more 10 minutes of thinking. We've got the answer.
Looks like you're going to have this sorted in next
we
no
will.
time.
It won't take much.
It won't take long, but it's the fact it's got to be done. It's another job. You know, I've got 5 jobs still to do, Dave.
Yeah.
You know, I've still got all the railings to put on the viaduct yet. Helps if you get it in first.
Length if you want.
No, I've got
Yeah, it was a character building weekend.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, isn't that right?
Yeah, something like that. So the little person in blue on your left is Mark. He's the editor of Homey Magazine. And like I say, Mark drove a van, Mike drove a van.
Excellent.
And Homey Magazine are good to us as the rail nuts because they do all the driving, unless we need extra vans, they do lifting. And Mike was as knackered as I was at the end of the weekend.
All the signs and Milton Keynes and we'll do it. There's enough of us here now. Most of it's up, all that end's done, isn't it? Pete's just relaying that track.
Looking down the track from one end to the other, it still looks ridiculous, doesn't it? It's ridiculous.
You know, we must be mad.
Yeah.
We must be mad.
We've never tried it yet. We've never tested it. We've never turned it on. We've never tried the network.
No?
What could possibly go wrong?
Listen, that's all you can say. We've done our best. Can't knock it for that.
Or we've been so busy doing the clever stuff, we forgot the simple.
Yeah, well...
All good stuff.
I did say we haven't had any trains running around the other day. On that other video you did, we've never had any trains running yet, so on this new bit.
Pete's team are fine because they've
Checking layout down and putting end boards on. Putting end boards on that we couldn't put on before because
Phil, you're getting tired now, are you?
I'm not tired, but I've hit the wall now.
Right.
It's amazing it's gone up in one day.
Otherwise I'm going to pass out again.
Fair enough. Sit down, there's a chair there.
That doesn't help.
So, could you summarise where we're up to on the layout? What's powered, what's not?
So we've got 3 baseboards. I've got DCC power just as a test.
Right.
As I was doing more, then we got distracted with the fiddle yard that's now sort of in. We were one board missing, so I bought a spare board on purpose just in case. It's not the right board, but it has gone in. Pete's laying track now on it.
Right.
I think it's
So that will give us a full loop of track, but you can't run on it tonight.
Right.
There's too many track joints that need fixing.
Right.
What, Dave?
I don't mind me interrupting.
I do not mind it
I
whatsoever.
don't think we need any lights on the back in here. Just have them up front. If you need them up front, definite.
We do need them on the front.
But you don't need them on here, do you?
You're not wrong, Dave, are you? You're actually
Pretty bright in here, isn't it?
It's going to save us a bit of time as well.
Saves a lot of time.
Plus packing away.
Yeah.
I'm packing away, but they put all the lights on. But they can soon take them off. What do you think? What do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we're all getting ready. I asked Daniel to test when it was noisy and he said it was fine.
Yeah.
12 o'clock tomorrow is going to be our best time. We're having lunch.
or later in the evening when it starts to get quiet.
No, because I want stock on. That's the, well,
See what you say tomorrow.
aim for 12 while we're having lunch. We're going to get an hour of quiet at least then, aren't we? With people.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about the noise.
No, I meant people not being in the way for an hour while we have lunch.
Okay.
And then
I'm more worried about how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
no,
I am.
yeah, but there's various things of worry, and we can do a bit of lunch. If it doesn't work, then worry about it after then.
Okay, so we're all agreed on that because I'm now going to go and change the plan with security.
I'm sorry. What else can we do? There's not.
It's not going to happen. So
it's not going to happen tonight.
It's fine. I just want to be concrete that that's the decision. So.
I mean, again, you can try push it by hand, but there's a track joint there that's going to take a good half hour.
And you can't push it underneath the wires anyway.
No,
It's not possible to do.
yeah, there's a track joint there. All 4 of those need. They're the ones that are a pain at get. Remember?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Again, there's at least 4 baseboard joints that need all the fiddle yard relaying.
Yeah. Like this one.
Yes.
I can see that's not in line from here.
And that's meant to be a good one. Yeah. And it's just not going to happen tonight. I can't do any more. Otherwise, I won't be here tomorrow.
No. And I think that's probably a good thing for everyone, to be honest, to have.
Yeah. We've all had enough. I've had enough. I can't do any more.
Right. Good. Decided. Not ideal. I know we wanted to get it done tonight, but
Yeah,
decided.
it's not.
Yeah. It's all good.
That's all right. How you doing, mate?
Is the battery-powered soldering iron is brilliant.
Right.
It's a bit of a hodgepodge of my Milwaukee battery and a bit of Chinese bits and pieces.
But you've got no ground reference issues.
Yes. So my good soldering iron, as soon as there's power on the track, says, "You've got a static here. Let's short it to ground."
Right.
Trips the whole thing, sparks everywhere.
Right.
The battery one does not care. You don't have to take power everywhere. Lasts all day on a charge.
Yeah.
Use standard batteries on my drills.
Right.
It's like 12 quid it cost to make or whatever by the time I got it off AliExpress.
Yeah.
The only problem is the Milwaukee batteries rely on the tool to be turned off.
Right.
So you can flatten the battery beyond a sensible limit and kill the batteries.
Right.
That's the only downside. But again, for 12 quid or whatever, it's godsend. The white lines that I did should have gone in there.
Right.
So Pete added them on Friday. Again, the houses look great, they just need finishing. Mike sent me a text a couple months ago saying, if there's any bits you want doing, I'll do them. So I gave him about 4 houses. That turned into 16. And 6 weeks later, we still hadn't finished them. But it looked great.
I think it
looked so
fantastic.
good.
And even I saw a couple of kids on Sunday driving around. So
yeah, they were from the Osage Railway Association, my local club.
Right.
I said to them, I'll do my best. If you come on Sunday, there's a higher chance of the layout working. If I'm not completely dead or running around like a madman, I'll let you have a go each.
Because some people were modelers were looking at it thinking, what's going on here? But they didn't get what we're about.
Yeah,
which is
somebody had a go at one of the little kids while he was driving because he got in his shot. And again, we're not, a whole making tracks thing is let people play.
Yes.
If it upsets somebody because a kid was playing and he got in your photograph, I don't care.
Where did we find car parking?
Yes.
And then we were hearing, there's a train in the tunnel. Like, what?
Right, this is great. Thank you.
So those 3, you've got 18.
Yep.
Just charge.
They're all good.
Yeah.
Just charges.
And we'll have what's left. All right, these are all green. So.
So it all comes back to the missing board on Thursday.
Right.
Then the misnumbering system that I taught everybody to count, that Chris loves.
I can recite it.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
You know the best bit? When I ask people what comes after 7, everybody guesses 9.
14.
Nobody's guessed 14 yet.
I can do 14.
Yeah. What comes next after 14, Chris? So that kerfuffle cost us 6 hours Thursday.
Right.
Which meant I didn't plug the whole layout in till Friday to find the shorting problem. So the original plan was to run the record train Thursday evening, which never happened. Then we had the shorting problem Friday with Pete not pulling the nails out of the copper clad, which meant by the time the layout was working Friday afternoon ish, it was a question of trains are running more or less, we need to keep them running for the record tonight, otherwise it isn't going to happen. So at that point it was, it's working-ish, leave it well alone.
Yeah.
Then that took Chris till midnight Friday. Then Saturday morning you were still recording because you ran out of power.
Because the power got pulled at midnight.
Which we didn't know was going to happen. But the public. So Chris was still recording, Chris and Dan were still recording
and
Saturday
Dave.
morning. Dave doesn't count.
Does count.
Dave who?
Exactly. Then TV were there for breakfast for 7, half 7, half 8, half 9. So it wasn't until 25 past 9 we had more than one train running at a time, really. That's when the boosters decided to say no. They would work for 5 minutes and then they would just send a stop signal and not work. So I tried taking boosters off, adding boosters, changed all the settings so it auto-inverted every other one and flipped it back again. I took the rail cam signal off just as a try, didn't help. I tried doing separate districts or then combining them all together as one output. That didn't help. Then by about 2 o'clock, the Guinness man, was it Pav?
Yeah, Prav.
That stopped. We stopped for about half an hour, didn't we? No trains running, maybe an hour while they did the talking. I messed about with some more settings. Then we sent the train off about 2:30.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
And you'll see on the video it stopped very briefly as it was going on the fiddle yard because me and Andy were messing with plugs. And at that point on, it just worked for the rest of the weekend. So whatever I did in that half hour, fixed it.
Were you messing with the CAN bus on?
I was messing with everything.
Okay.
So I tried new cables, longer cables, shorter cables. I changed the order of the boosters. And this is ignoring the fact one of the boosters, one of the dual boosters, is 6 amps total, but it's effectively 3 amps. So the left is 3 and the right is 3. As soon as we plugged it in, it's got an internal short. So I didn't want to plug that in for the rest of the weekend, A, in case it caught fire, or B, in case it was doing something weird, it wasn't just a short. Yeah, so I didn't want to plug that the 3 amps back in just in case it caused problems. And like I say, whatever I did in that time slot between the stopping for Guinness and then running for Guinness, it kind of worked. See, the issue is we ran out of time. We were 3 months short, so we never plugged it in. The layouts aren't meant to go together. They're just meant to be for Chester. So the fact they're plugging together is kind of irrelevant. So we don't want to change all the wiring just for the weekend to make that work when it's got to go to Chester in 3 months' time, is it now? 2 and a bit months' time. So it's a question of, let's just get it working good enough.